Well, good morning, church. Good morning. In John chapter 4, Jesus has witnessed to the Samaritan woman. He has blessed her. She's been a handful, by the way. I think she's a pretty strong, opinionated, hurt lady. She's got a lot of pushback in her life. She's confrontational with Jesus about everything. She never gives him any water, from what I can tell. So it's pretty challenging. When you look at him interacting with her, she's always pushing back, and she's got issues with him being a man and him being a Jew, and where he worships and where they worship. She's constantly drawing barriers and lines, and he breaks them all down. Eventually opens her heart up to see and trust and believe in him, because he knows truths about her that only God could know. And so he sees her heart soften, trust, and believe. And then she goes into town to get everybody. It says in the text of John 4 that she's going to bring everybody back to be a part of his ministry now and listen to him. And the disciples show back up, kind of surprised by all this. And Jesus tells them to look on the fields because they're white into harvest. The fields that he's talking about are the spiritual field of Samaria. It's a town that the serious God followers normally would have avoided. He's saying this is a good place to help people. Matthew chapter 9, verse 36 through 38. Seeing the people, says this, seeing the people, Jesus felt compassion for them because they were distressed and dispirited like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Therefore beseech or pray the Lord of the harvest to send out workers into his harvest. And the ESV of that same passage, Matthew 9, says it this way: when he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. So Jesus is saying to his disciples, to us, pray for the Lord of the harvest. That's who he is, by the way. Pray to me that I would send out workers. And it's only a short time later, and these workers are going to go into these fields with these distressed and dispirited people who are harassed and helpless. It's only a short time later, Jesus sends out his disciples themselves to spread the seeds of the gospel, to look at the distressed, the harassed, and the helpless, and to plant seeds of truth and seeds of grace, to plant the gospel witness into their lives, to give them hope, to give them an abundant life when they trust in the Savior Christ. So it's a beautiful concept that Jesus wants us to go to people who are distressed and dispirited, to people who are hurting, people who are helpless, people who are harassed, and love them with the gospel. And I just want to challenge you today that the fields are still white in the harvest. I think in our society today, more than ever, there's so many people hurting and distressed and afraid and anxious. We live in a time with extreme amount of depression and anxiety in our culture, and we have the hope of the gospel. And I just challenge you that we have answers as followers of Christ. We have answers that we can help people with if we would lead them to the Messiah. Jesus wanted everybody that were following him sincerely to become seed sowers and present the seeds of the gospel. So I want to ask you today, how good are you at presenting the seeds of the gospel? Let's reach out to these people who are distressed, people who are discouraged, people who are dispirited, people who are harassed and helpless. Let's reach out to them with the good news of the gospel today. Be blessed, and we'll see you back soon.